All right, did you know that 50% of all startups fail? Here to talk about the realities of being an entrepreneur is Michael Dermer, author of The Lonely Entrepreneur. The difference between success and failure is your perspective. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So why did you write this book?
I was a corporate lawyer in New York City, left to start a healthcare business, brand new concept, rewarding people for being healthy, built it up over basically a decade with all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes with that, and watched it almost get destroyed overnight by the financial crisis of 2008. Saved it, resurrected it by working 20-hour days, and ultimately successfully sold it. And then I was just chilling out, doing some entrepreneur coaching. And the one common theme amongst everybody I was working with was the struggle. And one of them said to me, being an entrepreneur was really lonely. And that just kind of spurred the idea that, there's people that go through this very visceral experience. Was there a way that we could take our experience and actually help people be better entrepreneurs?
In the book, you talk about the 4 Ps: pressure, pleasure, passion, and pain.
Yep. Well, when we're under the influence of these 4 Ps, think about passion. We have our idea, we believe in it, it's our baby. We think our meatballs are the best meatballs in the world, right? Pressure, we might have left a corporate job, right? Financial pressure, family pressure. The pleasure of our first business card, our first customer, that feeling. And then the pain, right, of the failures and the investors you don't get and the customers you'll get. All of those things make us have flawed perspectives. And unless we break through those flawed perspectives, we really struggle as an entrepreneur.
I wanted to ask you, when you take a look at what happened in the 90s, when you had the dot-com bubble bursting, when you compare that period of time to now, there are a lot of startups, and I think in the book you talk about some of the startups, including your own, Incent One. What's the difference now between that period in the 90s and now?
I think back then, even with the advent of the internet, it was a lot harder to start a business. You had to have a lot more capital, a lot more access to resources. Now, it's really easy to start a business.
Is that a dangerous thing?
It is a dangerous thing because it's easier to start it now, much harder to succeed. Because you and I could be in the Coca-Cola business tomorrow with all the technology that exists. So we can start businesses really quickly, but that puts everybody out there trying to do something new and different. And you're also getting competition not just from Mission Viejo, you're getting it from Dubai and China at the same time. So the technology is great because it facilitates more entrepreneurs and makes it harder to actually succeed.
So do you think in looking ahead, of course everyone wants to predict the future, but as a business analyst and someone who's been doing this, do you think there are some signs that we might experience something like that again in the Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I think you think about with machine learning and artificial intelligence and all the things that are coming, it really comes down to one of the things that entrepreneurs do have, which is the ability to think differently. You have to think differently about the very same problems that exist. If you think about the iPhone, the technology for the iPhone existed for a decade.
Right.
It's just that somebody thought a little bit differently. Obviously, a pretty smart somebody, Steve Jobs, thought a little bit differently. So I think with all the technology, those are enablers, but we have to be able to apply them different ways in our kind of unique value proposition as an entrepreneur.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the show, and congratulations on your first book.
Thanks very much.
Once again, the book is called The Lonely Entrepreneur. The difference between success and failure is your perspective. We'll be back with more Bay Sunday after this break.